This was a lowest tier C-rank cursed ring, yet the man was willing to spend his entire fortune to buy it. Seeing this, the woman thought the man had gone mad, but only the man understood that this rusty, seemingly worthless broken ring was the exclusive token for changing into the only hidden class, necromancer. It all began one day when mysterious gates suddenly appeared around the world, and countless monsters swept across the entire planet. Many humans also received prompts of awakening. Those who ultimately awakened successfully drew upon the power of the constellations to save the world, and they established the 7 great families, whose powers all came from the blessings of certain constellations in the starry sky. And the man was the world's first person to become a 9-star hunter, and most unbelievably, the man had not received the blessing of any constellation. The occurrence of this situation also made the man a complete thorn in the side of the 7 great families. Thus, one day, the city where the man lived suffered a devastating blow. Countless humans died in this purge. The man tightly gripped the clock in his hand, never having imagined that the Roman Dev family would truly make a move against him. What the man had imagined even less was that the Roman Dev family would send Dmitri, who was also a 9-star. Dmitri was the human incarnation of the constellation Odin, and people also called him the King of Magic. At this moment Dmitri looked at the man with contempt. A human who became 9-star without relying on a constellation, yet in the end died by my hand. The man unwillingly opened his mouth and asked why they were so determined to kill him. Was it because he refused to join the 7 great families, or because he had not received a constellation's blessing? Dmitri laughed softly and said, "It should be both. At first, our 7 great families did not intend to make a move against you, but the constellations frantically issued us orders that you had to be eliminated. If someone can reach 9-star without needing a constellation, then the status of the constellations will be greatly diminished. You mean, my existence made the constellations feel threatened, so they had to get rid of me? You are the world's first necromancer. Manipulating the dead already violates the world rules established by the constellations. Among the constellations, the power of death is regarded as a symbol of evil, and that is why they frantically issued the order to erase you. It is time to send you on your way." The man looked at Dmitri and slowly said, "Do you know why I've been stalling with you for so long? Because my spell is finally ready, and next I'll let you experience what a necromancer is." As soon as the words fell, the dry bones around them seemed to receive some kind of summons, and the entire space was instantly wrapped in the aura of death. Using all of his magic power, he awakened the endless domain of death. Dmitri said with slight surprise, "I didn't expect you to still be able to use such terrifying power now. Then I'll let you witness my strongest magic as well." Dmitri muttered, "O noble King Odin, please grant me the power to slay the Lord of the Undead." Seeing this, the man revealed a shocked expression. "You intend to use Odin's eye? The domain of death cannot stop it at all." In the next moment, the original night sky was instantly torn apart by the crimson, godlike eye of Odin. Odin's eye launched attacks indiscriminately toward the ground, and the domain of death also instantly disappeared, while the attacks rushed toward the man like meteors. The originally panicked man, upon seeing this scene, revealed a smug smile. Dmitri, standing to one side, felt an ominous premonition. Why could he still smile? The man immediately took out the clock in his hand. The clock in his hand instantly absorbed the power of Odin's eye. A prompt also rang out in the man's mind. The divine artifact Chronos clock has met the conditions. Absorb the power of one constellation to activate the power of return. Hunter Rigoya will return to the past. In the next moment, the clock suddenly burst out with blinding light. Time began rewinding, and Rigoya revealed a triumphant expression. "Chronos must absorb the power of a constellation to activate, but I have not received the blessing of any constellation, so I could only make use of your Odin power, Dmitri." At this moment Dmitri had no idea what was happening, and could only shout, "Rigoya, what exactly did you do?" What answered Dmitri was Rigoya's mockery. "Next time, I will completely destroy all 7 of your great families." And at that very moment, the Chronos in his hand instantly stopped its hands. Rigoya's figure also began to turn transparent. At this moment, Rigoya suddenly woke up from the bed. "So I really did come back." Although there was an element of gambling, the result was just as I had thought. The 7 great families actually united to hunt me down for such a ridiculous reason. Looking at the pocket watch in his hand, it indicated that Chronos had been damaged because 2 identical objects could not exist within the same spacetime. Even though he had possessed it for so long and knew how to use it, without the power of a constellation he had never truly used it even once. It was also thanks to this divine artifact that he was able to survive. The time he chose to return to was the very day of the awakening system. Looking at the system panel in front of him, he could choose a class suitable for himself. Since he had returned to the past, all of his stats had also returned to their initial state. Under any circumstances, he could resist all mental attacks and remain calm. At present, there were 3 class choices: warrior, mage, and priest. Looking at the class options before him, there was no need for him to choose so urgently now. What mattered most now was using the information from his previous life to let himself grow quickly. A moment later, at the hunter market. What item would you like to purchase? We have long swords made by top companies here, and also all kinds of equipment crafted from elven branches. Rigoya said, I want to buy a C-rank cursed ring. Hearing this, the woman was stunned. You mean you want to buy a cursed ring? That ring contains hundreds of curses. Anyone who puts it on will go insane. Rigoya said, that's the one I want. In the end, he spent 2 million to buy it. At first the clerk seriously warned the man, once this ring is sold, we will no longer be responsible for any after-sales issues. But Rigoya still bought it without the slightest hesitation. Although this ring looked covered in rust, as if it were just a broken ring, and although its attributes seemed to offer no benefits whatsoever, with even the wearer suffering terrible curses, only Rigoya understood the true way to use this ring. He then put it on. The power of the curse began to emerge. This was exactly as Rigoya had expected. The knowledge contained within the necromancer was all hidden inside the ring. As long as one overcame the curse, one could obtain it. Immediately afterward, Rigoya was dragged into darkness. He looked around warily. It turned out that this time the curse was Dimitri. Dimitri's voice echoed beside the man's ears. Without the power of a constellation, do you still want to defeat me? The attack contained within the constellation suddenly triggered. Seeing this scene, Rigoya stood motionless in place. Then he smiled. So it's nothing more than an illusion. In the next moment, the attack stopped right in front of the man. Prompt: you have passed the trial of the dark ring. The power of the necromancer has awakened from within the ring. Immediately afterward, a terrifying undead aura wrapped around Rigoya's body. Prompt: you have completed the trial of the dark ring. The necromancer's magic power has awakened. The man was once again pulled back into reality. Without the slightest hesitation, he clicked Necromancer from the class selection. Prompt: you have obtained the necromancer's exclusive skills. Obtained Death Guidance, allowing free conversion between attributes. Obtained the skill Death Guide. When casting or maintaining summoning magic, mental power consumption is reduced by 20%. The previous 2 were passive skills, and currently there were only 2 active abilities he could use. The first skill was Summon Undead, and the second skill was controlling the skeletons of summoned undead. Although his mind held a vast amount of necromancer experience from his previous life, his stats had now returned to 1 star. To defeat Dimitri, he needed to walk a path different from the one in his previous life. I also need to obtain a Guardian Star so that my power can be further enhanced. Rigoya boarded a plane heading for the temple. The Temple of Kronos was a relic where the gods had once fought. According to the memory of his previous life, this ruined relic was far from as simple as it looked on the surface. Another use of the Kronos clock was as the key to opening a time passage, and this seemingly ordinary stone platform was the entrance to that passage. The moment his fingers touched it, the Kronos clock emitted light once more. The originally ruined relic slowly began to recover under the power of time and space. In the blink of an eye, the man seemed to travel through time and arrive in the past. So this is the relic hidden within the space-time rift. At that very moment, a voice sounded by his ear. Who are you? An enormous god appeared before the man. Seeing this, the man did not panic. Everything was exactly as he had expected. It is a great honor to meet you, the noble lord of the gods, Kronos. Hearing this, Kronos was first stunned, then looked toward Rigoya and discovered the clock in the man's hand. I previously sensed the reversal of time and space. It seems it was you, little one, who turned back time. As you can see, I used your divine artifact. Even using my divine artifact, reversing time is extremely difficult. Little one, you must once have been a very powerful human as well. Kronos was the lord of the gods and also the father of Zeus, the king of the gods, but after being defeated in the struggle against Olympus, he was gradually forgotten by humanity. Kronos, the former lord of the gods, don't you want revenge? If you are willing to become my guardian star, then I can help you take revenge. Weak human, one who does not even possess Olympic divine power, and yet you want to command me? I was able to reach 9-star without the blessing of any constellation, and that means I am qualified to cooperate with you. Besides, my target of revenge includes Zeus as well. Zeus betrayed his own father at the time of your decisive battle. You must also want to make him regret it. At present, Earth is under the control of the 7 major constellations, and the 7 great families are their agents among humanity. And you are also the rumored god of destruction, while the power of the undead that I pursue is highly compatible with you. The god Kronos governed harvest in time, and the sickle was a symbol of harvest as well as a symbol of the god of death. Upon hearing this, Kronos flew into a rage. Human, are you equating human death with my concept of death? I only think your interests align with mine, and what I believe in is death as well. If you truly do not want revenge and are willing to be suppressed by the other constellations forever, then I have nothing more to say. Hearing this, Kronos stared fixedly at the man. Regoya was extremely uneasy. If he could not obtain Kronos' help, he would have to think of another way. In the next moment, Kronos laughed out loud. You qualify. I was only giving you a simple test to see whether you truly wanted revenge against the other constellations. I will become your guardian star. Let us take revenge together against that group of constellations. Regoya's body trembled as he felt a scorching power pour into him. The man left the temple. Kronos was full of shock. After so many years, the outside world has changed so much. Now that I have followed you out, my constellation will also slowly reappear within the pantheon. Although my constellation is slowly reappearing, there are no longer any followers of mine among humanity. So little one, you must help me gradually expand my influence. That way, your power will increase as well. You must make the name of my constellation resound across the entire earth once more. At this moment Regoya could not help looking at the class window. Though he was a necromancer, he had received holy magic power. Because of Kronos' special nature, his holy magic and death magic could be converted freely, and holy attribute equipment could also be used together. Attribute, holy power tainted by death. At the same time, he obtained a skill, life drain. Life force can be used to enhance the body or heal injuries. He had never imagined that he could freely use both holy magic and necromantic magic. Everything is ready now, so next I should test out my power. The ancient garden dungeon should be the best testing ground. To test his brand new skills, Regoya arrived at the teleportation gate in the center of the city. Looking around, there were quite a few novice players nearby who wanted to form a party and act together. Just as Regoya was lost in thought, someone beside him asked whether he wanted to join their team. Regoya muttered to himself, "There's no need to act with others in this kind of low-level dungeon." Seeing this, the man also smiled awkwardly, then walked toward the back. Looking at Regoya not far away, the man could not help saying, "He looks like a beginner. Can he really manage by himself? Oh, brother, he didn't join our party anyway, so there's no need for you to worry about him." At this moment Regoya smiled lightly. It's time to begin. Although the ancient garden is only a 1-star dungeon, it's absurdly large. I have no idea where the monsters are hiding. In the grass not far away, a monster holding a longsword wanted to ambush the man. Regoya sensed the monster beside him. I didn't expect it to come looking for me so quickly. In an instant, the monster launched a sneak attack from behind, rushing out at astonishing speed, determined to kill in one strike. Sensing movement behind him, Regoya simply turned to the side and dodged. At the moment he dodged, he grabbed the goblin from behind. Consider yourself the first test for my skill. At that point the skill was activated, turning undead magic into holy magic for release. Once the attribute conversion was complete, he immediately used the holy spell Life Drain again, and the goblin's life force rapidly decreased. Regoya was slightly surprised. I didn't expect Life Drain cast with holy magic to work so fast. After that, he once again used undead magic to absorb. Regoya only felt as if his body had gained a slight, almost imperceptible enhancement. Prompt: you have absorbed the life force of a sprite. Your base attributes have been enhanced. Strength increased by 0.1, agility increased by 0.1. If I kill large numbers of monsters, wouldn't my attributes also be able to increase dramatically? Are you surprised by the effect of your skill? That is the benefit I've brought you. Regoya had indeed not expected the attribute increase. Now I can try my other skill. I hope this skill won't disappoint me. Rise and fight for me. Undead Summoning. At the moment the skill was released, the dead goblin suddenly stood back up. System prompt: Undead Goblin has been awakened. Attributes increased by 97%. Race: Undead. Goblin type: Corpse. With a summon, I can relax a little now. Next comes the real dungeon clearing time. Not far away, several goblins emerged from the jungle once more. I was just wanting to test the combat power of this summon. You came at just the right time. The goblin instantly charged over, with no combat technique to speak of, simply biting the monster fiercely. Seeing this scene, the monster was stunned for a moment, as if wondering why its own kind was attacking it. The goblin at the side viciously pierced the heart of the undead goblin. Because the goblin had become an undead creature, even being struck in a vital spot made it hard to kill. Afterward, Rigoya once again grabbed the goblin. These are all walking attributes for me. I absolutely can't let them go. Afterward, the goblin whose attributes had been drained dry was thrown onto the ground. Behind him, the undead goblin also killed the final monster once again. My skill can absorb attributes from living creatures. I wonder whether it can also absorb them from these dead creatures. In the next moment, the man revealed an excited expression. It seemed the skill could also work on corpses. In that case, let's speed things up. In the eyes of a necromancer, as long as one can kill a single monster, that is equivalent to half the task already being completed. With his current ability, he could perfectly control 20 of them in battle. The man spoke in a low voice. Undead summon. All the dead goblins stood up. The summoned goblins were already tireless tools of battle to begin with, not to mention that their attributes had received a 97% bonus. A necromancer is indeed the finest class. Then he issued an order to indiscriminately kill all nearby creatures. Countless goblins instantly fell into chaos. In only a short while, all 20 goblins had already been brought under control. With such an undead army helping him level up, it was simply twice the result with half the effort. The original goblins were so frightened that they fled in panic. At this very moment, a whisper came from not far away. Rocket spell, fire. The fleeing goblin was instantly killed. Seeing this, Rigoya said, "Come out. We weren't following you. We just happened to run into you by accident." As they spoke, Rigoya felt they looked a little familiar. He suddenly remembered. They were the twin shadow archers. He had felt they looked familiar earlier outside the gate. In the future, they had once attempted to assassinate me. The man was taking part in a dungeon trial for the first time, and when Rigoya saw the people who emerged, he recognized them at once as the pair who had been known in his previous life as the twin shadow archers. Would it be troublesome to fight them? Rigoya smiled lightly. Right now they only have 1-star strength. I remember that in my memory, their combination was always a brother and sister pair. In that case, eliminating future enemies ahead of time would be the correct decision. Rigoya replied, "There's no need for us to eliminate them. They have no grudge against me. In my previous life they only accepted an assassination mission." At this moment, the man asked, "Are all these servants under your control?" At present, the undead class was still a secret and would not become widely known until some time later. That's right, all these undead servants are under my control. Clearing the dungeon alone is indeed convenient, but collecting these items requires manpower to help me. Inside the dead goblins are crystals that can be sold outside for money. Rigoya said, "Are you willing to cooperate with me?" The man asked in confusion, "What kind of cooperation do you mean?" "I will deal with all enemies that appear, while you take responsibility for collecting the monster's crystals from the rear. We will divide the total number of crystals 80-20. Hearing this, the three of them began discussing it. They had never seen someone control monsters before and thought Rigoya was not trustworthy. After a long while, Rigoya never expected that even such a small issue could be discussed for so long. If my servants could collect crystals for me, I wouldn't need to cooperate with them. At just that moment, the man said, "I agree to your proposal, but I think the ratio should be 50-50. There are 3 of us, and even with a 50-50 split, each person's share would still be small. The most I can accept is 70-30. If you disagree, then we can cancel the cooperation." "Boss, do you really want to work with him? He doesn't have any ill will toward us. If he really wanted to attack us, we would already be dead. Accept this man's proposal. I think we'll earn more than we would acting on our own." A moment later, the man cried out in collapse, "Let me rest for a moment. This is also the first time I've experienced having my hands go numb from picking up crystals. I expected there would be a big harvest, but this completely exceeded my expectations. Who exactly is this man? The strength he has displayed has completely rewritten my traditional understanding of hunters. Stop spacing out. There are still so many crystals here." Hearing this, the man smiled awkwardly. "Could you let us rest for a little while?" "You can rest assuredly, just don't forget about them." Everyone's impression of Rigoya was that this guy definitely was not human. The speed at which we collect crystals actually can't keep up with the speed at which he kills monsters. I've basically wiped out all the surrounding monsters, so now I should take a look at how much my attributes have increased. Only 3 hours have passed, and my attributes have already increased by 21.2. My current attributes are already completely on par with those of an ordinary level 4 player. The time is about right, and I should go eliminate the boss now. Afterward, he walked toward the depths of the forest. Before long, he discovered the boss sitting on a seat, while the guards around it stared fixedly at the man. The boss muttered, "It has been a long time since any human dared to challenge me." Upon seeing this scene, the man could not help laughing out loud. "A mere goblin, and you really think you are the ruler of this dungeon?" The girl at the side explained, "He is the lord of this area, and also a nightmare-like existence in the eyes of all novice players." Sensing the man's disdain toward him, the boss roared, "Bring that man to me." A large number of goblins charged toward the man. "Even if you're the boss, in my eyes you're still just a lowly goblin. Go, charge and kill my servants." Upon receiving the order, the servants also quickly rushed into battle. The goblins instantly descended into chaos. At a huge disadvantage in numbers, the servants were soon torn apart from the head. At that very moment, a prompt indicated that the number of servants had decreased by 1. Seeing this, the man was not surprised at all and merely said softly, "Rise, my servant." The corpse that had died nearby stood up again as a servant. The people at the side could not believe it at all. He actually raised a corpse and turned it into his slave. Sensing the change on the battlefield, the boss also could not help standing up, waving the skull staff in his hand while muttering under his breath. Countless skull staffs were driven into the ground. This was precisely the ability of the boss shaman emblem of honor, which frantically inspired the surrounding goblins. One could see the goblins instantly undergo a bloodthirsty transformation. The man laughed lightly. "It's nothing more than low-level buff magic." The totems on the ground were destroyed at that same moment. The boss shaman flew into a rage. "A mere human dares to destroy my totems? Next I'll let you witness true despair. This is a staff forged from the resentment of hundreds of goblins." It shouted, "Mass Berserk, activate!" In an instant, all the surviving goblins around them let out a howl toward the sky. System prompt, goblin strength, agility, and all attributes increased by 50%. The goblins tirelessly and fearlessly of pain destroyed the controlled servants. Because there were simply too many goblins, in the end the servants were exhausted by sheer numbers. There was no panic on the man's face, only slight surprise. "So this is your trump card? Now it's my turn to perform, isn't it? The trump card you rely on is nothing but a joke in my eyes." One could see a strand of undead power slowly emerging in his palm as the man shouted in a low voice, "Bone control." The staff in the boss shaman's hand suddenly began to tremble, as if it wanted to escape its control. In the next moment, it abruptly flew outward and landed perfectly in Rigoya's hand. Seeing this, the shaman cried out, "What exactly did you do? Give it back to me. All items made of bone are entirely under my control." After inspecting it, he found that the resentment inside the staff was even greater than he had imagined. "It seems the goblins you sacrificed to make this staff bear no small amount of resentment toward you as well. Since this staff belongs to you, I'll return it to you." The moment his words ended, the skull staff instantly flew toward the shaman. Seeing this, the shaman was horrified because it discovered that the flying staff did not obey its control at all. And just as it was stunned in shock, the staff instantly pierced through it. The boss shaman could never have imagined, even in its dreams, that it would ultimately die by the weapon it was most proud of. Then it crashed hard to the ground. Meanwhile, Rigoya still smiled lightly. "What a foolish shaman. This expedition yielded even more than I expected. My attributes increased by a lot." However, the other three all wore troubled expressions on their faces. During the earlier fight between Rigoya and the boss, they had been the ones cleaning up the large number of goblins he killed. The 4 people leaving the dungeon became the focus of everyone's attention, because the number of magic stones on the man's back was so great that it was hard to believe. Rigoya said, "These magic stones can be sold directly in the shop and converted into money. If you're not in urgent need of cash, I can transport the magic stones to the central city to sell them, which would reduce the middleman's price difference. How much do you think they can be sold for?" The man thought for a moment. "Probably around 5 million. As he spoke, Rigoya took the staff off his back. "This item is worth almost nothing. Even if it's taken elsewhere, it can't be sold. This staff is filled with a heart-palpitating curse. Although it has the attribute of increasing mental power, it will erode the owner's mind. Moreover, the required equipment class is priest, and priests already have very low resistance to abnormal conditions. But this level of curse poses absolutely no threat to me, so I'll count this item as something I've bought. As for the exact price, we can discuss it after your magic stones are sold. How could we possibly take more money? This time you brought us along to cooperate, and we've already earned what we would normally make in an entire year. This item should simply go entirely to Mr. Rigoya. Everyone should have no objections." Seeing this scene, Rigoya liked the captain's way of handling things more and more. In that case, I won't decline any further. Tomorrow we'll continue cooperating together. In the ancient garden dungeon the next day. Rigoya, we really can't do it anymore. There are simply too many, and we truly don't have the strength to deal with them. To keep our backpacks from being insufficient, we deliberately brought extra ones, yet today they're filling up even faster than yesterday. In that case, you should first take the magic stones back to town. Kronos asked in confusion, why did you deliberately send them away? Because what I'm going to do next is something I don't want anyone to know. Afterward, he walked toward the depths of the dungeon. The dungeon didn't contain only goblins. In different areas, the monster types were also different. Facing an attack from frogmen, Rigoya had his servants engage them without hesitation. Clearly, the frogmen's stats far exceeded those of goblins. A large number of servants died at the hands of the frogmen. But thanks to the fact that the servants felt no pain, some frogmen were also killed amid the chaotic battle. Making a move as if to summon the dead frogmen, he turned large numbers of frogmen into his own slaves. With the help of the frogmen, he would have much more confidence in the next actions. Inside the ancient hall deep within the dungeon. This ancient hall looks like no one has come here for a very long time. Rigoya, what exactly are you trying to do? You'll know in a moment. Immediately afterward, he took out a dark green heart. This was a frogman's heart. Then he took out the blood of the shaman he had killed earlier and dripped it onto the frogman heart. In the next moment, the entire heart began to tremble. The originally lifeless heart seemed to come alive, beating continuously. A system prompt sounded. You have successfully triggered the secret of the ancient garden. The ancient trial ground is opening. Afterward, he was teleported into an arena. In his previous life, he had also learned of this secret only by chance. But in his previous life, his star level had already been too high, and he could no longer enter the ancient garden dungeon. Rigoya was very curious what kind of trial this would be. Within the light curtain, a giant deep purple claw stepped out. A slowly growing look of shock appeared on Rigoya's face. This is clearly a one-star trial stage. Why would a dragon man appear? Prompt, survive for 10 minutes against the dragon man to receive a reward. The trial ground had been created by the constellation gods for the purpose of selecting excellent agents. Seeing this, Kronos could not help saying, with your current power, even 10 seconds would be a problem. Looks like I'll have to wait another few hundred years for a new agent. If I remember correctly, since the dungeon is 1 star, then the dragonman's power should also be suppressed to 1 star. But even a 1-star dragonman is not something ordinary people can handle. What I need to do next is find a way to stall for time. All servants, prepare to attack. The dragonman suddenly stomped toward the ground. In the next moment, the dragonman's figure abruptly disappeared from where it stood. When it appeared again, it had already arrived right in front of him. At the exact same time, the frogmen charged over without hesitation, trying to stop its advance as they clung to the dragonman's shoulders and body. Even a dragonman should need some time to shake them off. But the dragonman only revealed a contemptuous expression, using its right fist to attack the frogman on its left arm, killing one with a single punch. In less than a minute, the several frogmen on its body had all been completely killed by it. Rigoya was not surprised at all, rather, he was delighted. One had to know that frogmen naturally carried poison, and after being transformed into servants, the poison became even more severe. Even though the dragonman could quickly kill the frogman, once contaminated by the poison, its speed would still decrease. After dealing with the frogman, the dragonman immediately rushed toward Rigoya. In the dragonman's eyes, Rigoya was the primary target assigned to it. Seeing the charging dragonman, Rigoya immediately picked up the skull staff. With magic power infused into it, the staff's defensive power began to rise. A protective light barrier blocked the front. Even with the boost from the staff, completely defending was still very difficult. But just as the dragonman struck the defensive light barrier, Rigoya directly detonated the barrier. During the half-second the dragonman lost focus, Rigoya used the staff in combination with bone control to attack the dragonman. Although the staff's attack was extremely fierce, it only managed to pierce the back of the dragonman's hand. While the dragonman roared in pain, the frogman at the side once again charged upward, biting the dragonman's body fiercely, trying to make the poison spread and intensify once more. Just as expected, the dragonman's reactions began to grow sluggish. Its body's nerves also started to become numb, with a sensation of being unable to move. The dignity of the dragonman race would not allow itself to fall so miserably, so it forced itself to continue attacking. One frogman after another was killed, but in the end, the violent movements caused the poison to spread even faster, and the dragonman fell heavily to its knees. Rigoya felt extremely fortunate. Thankfully, the dungeon level this time was only 1 star. Afterward, he recalled the staff. If the dungeon level had been any higher, I would have had a hard time dealing with a creature like this. Then he came before the fallen dragon man, moved his arm, and said softly, "Life drain, activate." At the same time, the system prompted, "Reward will now be distributed." The man was clearly just a complete amateur who knew nothing about alchemy, yet Rigoya had passed the trial of the ancient arena. Prompt, reward distributed. Skill, Crown of Tenacity. Reduces mental damage by 40%. This is a permanent passive buff, and it also accelerates magic circulation or support magic. This type belongs to passive skills. Once I'm hit by a control type skill, I'll also be able to reduce most of the duration. The body of the Dragonman race is excellent material. Afterward, he stored the Dragonman's corpse into the ring. What are you planning to do with the Dragonman's corpse? Of course, forge it into the most perfect combat tool. But to make perfect use of the Dragonman's corpse, I need an alchemist. Afterward, Rigoya came to Ishikawa Prefecture. According to my memory from my previous life, he should be living here. This place is exactly the same as in my memory, with no changes at all. Suddenly, an explosion rang out. Rigoya smiled helplessly. This part hasn't changed either. A figure walked out from the smoke and dust. Rigoya revealed a smile. It's him. This extremely disheveled man was named Zania. In the future, he would become the greatest alchemist on the entire continent. Zania, do you have time right now? Zania said, I do have time, but who are you? My name is Rigoya. I came here because I want to borrow your alchemy tools. Borrow tools from me? Why should I lend them to you? Zania, don't be so stingy. If you lend me the tools, I'll give you corresponding benefits as well. You're researching a kind of regeneration potion right now, but you've run into a bottleneck. Zania was shocked. How do you know what I'm doing? Rigoya continued on his own. Don't worry, I'll help you complete it. A short while later, Zania found it completely unbelievable. The problem that's troubled me for more than half a year was actually solved by you just like that? Although it's completed, you must be very curious about its effect. Then he made a small cut on his hand, and immediately poured the potion onto the wound. One could hear a sizzling sound, and the originally tiny wound instantly recovered as if it had never been there. Zania revealed an incomparably excited expression. Rigoya smiled lightly. You really want to know the true formula, don't you? As long as you cooperate with me, I'll give you the formula for free. Of course, I won't exploit you either. Our cooperation split will be 60-40. How about it? This has no downside for you at all. You can think it over carefully. Then he casually released the Dragon Man. Even though the Dragon Man was already dead, the sense of oppression was still terrifying. Zania was very astonished. What exactly is this creature? I'm a necromancer, and I'm thinking of turning it into my servant. If you're curious about this creature, come over and help. Zania said, I haven't agreed to cooperate with you, so why should I help you? I'm not helping you. I just have a thirst for knowledge about all kinds of strange creatures. Then he walked over. Why is your friend so cautious? Because he was once betrayed by a company. Back then, Zania had produced a major research result at the largest company in the country, but in the end his superior stole all the credit. Zania, the reason you haven't wanted to cooperate with me, is it because you're worried about my ability? I'll prove it to you. This is a level 5 magic stone, and I'll melt it to a degree of 42%. Then he fused the magic stone together with the necromancer's cursed power, and after that he could carve the cursed power into the Dragonman corpse. Now what I still need is an ancient dragon heart as the core. Afterward, he called the party, hoping they could find an ancient dragon heart. The next day, on the borderline, Rigoya, our squad has been waiting for a long time. I'm very curious, why did you choose to come to such a dangerous place as the border this time? Ever since the border dungeon collapsed, this place has been filled with monsters. I only wanted to come meet an old acquaintance. In Rigoya's impression, this direction should not be wrong. Suddenly, the sound of huge footsteps rang out. A giant orc appeared, holding a spear and trying to launch a sneak attack. On the other side, Rigoya was already prepared. Before the orc could even throw it, the bone attack the man carried with him had already struck the orc's body. Originally he had intended to strike the orc's fatal weak point, but unexpectedly the orc avoided the vital spot at the last moment. Feeling the pain, the orc viciously pulled the bone out of its chest, then rushed toward Rigoya, as if trying to tear him apart completely. Rigoya's expression sharpened, and he softly said, Bone control. In the next moment, undead power shot toward the giant orc. In just the blink of an eye, the orc was suddenly pierced through by the bones inside its own body. The The man was horrified. Rigoya could actually control the orc's bones to kill itself. It's nothing worth making a fuss over. Next, we just continue the special training. The dead orc was once again awakened by undead summoning. In Rigoya's memory, there was still an orc fortress emperor here. That was his real destination. Afterward, he informed them that the next destination was the orc camp. Hearing that, everyone felt both excitement and worry. Can we really clear the orc camp that smoothly? Then they headed toward the camp, and all the orcs encountered on the road were easily dealt with. Rigoya thought to himself that it was already evening, so they can only stay in place and rest for one night. When he turned his head, he found that the party had even set up the tents. What a leisurely bunch. Late at night, Rigoya kept thinking, my level has now reached 16, so it's enough to investigate some of the necromancer's magic. Then he projected his consciousness into the ring's knowledge space. Because of the system's restrictions, there were many high-level wizard spells he could not view. What he could view were all basic spells that he had disdained in his previous life. But upon another thought, many spells he had looked down upon in his previous life should be quite suitable for him now. After all, when he had become a necromancer in his previous life, his level had already reached 7-star, so back then he had never studied low-level necromantic spells at all. As the man went deeper and deeper into his study, the system prompted, "You have learned a new skill." The next morning, the party members woke in confusion. But what entered their sight was a gigantic orc wrapped in bone armor. The man was startled and shouted, "What is this thing?" Rigoya smiled. "This is the orc I just modified, and I call them armored orcs. This is a skill I just obtained, which allows me to turn bones into armor for protection. Since everyone is awake now, next we're heading for the orc camp." The group saw the orc camp. This camp is even bigger than I imagined. The sentry orc in the camp immediately rang the bell and shouted, "Enemy!" Countless orcs ran out from the camp. I didn't expect the orcs to be quite alert. He immediately used bone control. The weapons made of bone that had long been prepared swiftly shot out, and the orcs in the front were instantly killed. Rigoya softly said, "I hate how loudly you all scream." The orc chief also came out from the camp and roared toward the sky. The orcs in the camp instantly took out bows and arrows, preparing to fire. The squad captain immediately stepped forward and activated his class defense skill. I didn't expect the orcs actually know how to coordinate in battle. Seeing this, the girl took out arrows, and dozens of arrows poured out in an instant, their targets being the charging orcs ahead. Rigoya stood where he was and smiled. As expected of the future pair known as the Twin Shadow Archers, my time is limited. Then he ordered all the servants to charge at the enemy. In an instant, numerous orcs descended into chaotic battle, and what Rigoya had to do was eliminate the orc chief. Sensing Rigoya walking toward him, the orc chief stared fixedly at Rigoya, raising his giant axe and bringing it down toward Rigoya. Facing the incoming attack, Rigoya's expression did not change at all. He softly called out, "Bone prison!" Countless bones, accompanied by undead power, rushed toward the orc chief, their attacks striking the orc's body indiscriminately. Feeling the pain, the chief made as if to pull out the bones that had struck him. Rigoya knew very well that he had to kill the orc chief in one breath, otherwise, once the orc entered berserk mode, it would become even harder to deal with. The orc chief still wanted to continue struggling, but its own bones were completely twisted and broken by Rigoya, and in the end it could only collapse backward powerlessly. Although the battle looked easy, Rigoya's body had also reached its limit. More than half of his magic power had been consumed in a short time, so he then activated Life Drain. After only a short while, Life Drain restored more than half of his condition. At that very moment, the orcs behind him let out mournful cries. Seeing their chief killed, all the orcs scattered and fled. But in Rigoya's eyes, they were all walking attribute points. How could he let them escape? In only a short while, he had eliminated all the orcs. The people at the side could not believe it, he had killed the orc chief so quickly, and there was magic stone everywhere. Yet what Rigoya cared about was not the magic stones, but the giant axe the chief had used at the beginning. That blood axe was the real treasure. Judging from its attributes, the more monsters it killed, the stronger the axe's power would become. Afterward, he handed all the items over to the party to deal with, because he still had more important matters to attend to. Clearing the orcs had only been an appetizer. His real target was actually this tree. "Stop hiding, come out." The withered tree gave no response at all. "You're still pretending in front of me? If you still won't come out, then I'll destroy this tree of yours." The moment his words ended, the withered tree suddenly erupted with a powerful aura. A shadow said in a low voice, "Who are you?" "The once heroic savior, Li Bolin." The shadow whispered, "How do you know my name?" Not only do I know your name, I even remember your deeds by heart. A huge monument stands in the central city, and its inscription records the heroes who gave their lives for the nation. And at the very beginning of the disaster, you stood on the front line fighting to protect humanity. Hearing this, the shadow also revealed a gratified expression. So there is still someone who remembers me. However, Rigoya said, don't misunderstand, there is no longer any trace of you on the monument. Hearing this, the shadow's tone turned stern. What do you mean by saying that? Narashito, you shouldn't have forgotten that name, right? Li Bolan's thoughts were pulled back to 35 years ago. Faced with a situation that was impossible to resist, he requested reinforcements more than once. But the reply he received was that no one else would be sent to reinforce him. Hearing this, the man fell silent. He had been abandoned and thrown away as bait. They clearly knew that the South Gate was extremely dangerous, yet they still deceived me and told me the South Gate was safe. The pager transmitted extremely mocking words. Thanks to you, we were able to escape so smoothly from the North Gate. Li Bolan, full of anger, said, you all know very well that I would never abandon the civilians remaining at the South Gate. The pager still sent back a cold reply. Only those who survive are qualified to be called heroes. Looking at the large number of civilians around him, Li Bolan made an astonishing decision. Take the civilians and retreat. I alone will stay here and hold them off. Hearing this, the team members all found it unbelievable. The man shouted again and again, this is an order. Just as the shadow was sinking into memory, Rigoya pulled his thoughts back. The Narashito who caused your death became the hero of that battle, while all your records were erased by him. Such a reality is deeply ironic. You gave your life to protect others, yet in the end the honor was stolen by someone else. The shadow spoke with anger. What exactly did you come to me for? Rigoya smiled lightly. I can help you take revenge and make Narashito pay the price. The condition is that you sign an undead contract with me and become one of my immortal servants. To make you join, I've even prepared an excellent vessel for you. The dragonman's body was placed on the ground. Seeing this, the shadow froze in place and gave no reply for a long time. Ever since I became this kind of form, I never dared to dream that I could still take revenge. I can sign a contract with you, and I can obey your orders unconditionally, but I have one absolute bottom line that cannot be trampled. I will not harm any innocent person. Hearing this, Rigoya was also somewhat surprised. He had not expected that after so long, his original intention had never changed. I agree to your condition. I absolutely will not abuse your power to harm innocent civilians. Straightforward, then turn me into your servant. Rigoya signed a contract with the Shadow's soul. Prompt, mortal soul permission acquired. In his previous life, he had also signed a contract with the Shadow, and had cultivated him into an outstanding skeleton knight. From that time on, he would occasionally think, if he had been given the best possible body from the very beginning, just how powerful would he have become? The Shadow who had obtained a body unconsciously examined his new form. His initial attributes were actually over 100 points. Moreover, he possessed multiple talent effects and a variety of skills. Seeing the attribute panel, Rigoya was extremely delighted. He had never expected that using a soul in place of an ancient dragon heart as the core would bring such a great surprise. The random attribute values had been further strengthened. Most importantly, the Shadow's trait from his previous life had also been inherited, Magic Warrior, allowing him to freely use the powers of either warrior or mage. Do you like this body? Is there any abnormal reaction? The Shadow moved his body. Although it still isn't as good as I was in my previous life, fortunately this body still has room to grow. Since everything is done, we should leave this place now. From now on, your name will be Kashiwagi. Kashiwagi shouted, you actually want a warrior to just follow you around like this? Then he looked at the tent nearby and tore down the ragged cloth from above. Even though I'd become a servant, I'm still not used to moving around naked. Now we can officially set out. Rigoya was powerless to complain. You've already become a dragon man, and you still care about these tiny details. The scene shifted, and Rigoya returned to the laboratory of the alchemist Zania. Zania's face was full of shock. That dragon man corpse from not long ago actually moved. This is simply the greatest alchemy I have ever seen. I want to cooperate with you. Rigoya said that he had merely been lucky enough to find a suitable soul. Rigoya, can I beat this guy up? As Zania kept touching the man non-stop, Rigoya said, he's just a weak researcher. Let him go. At this moment, a figure walked over nearby. Mr. Rigoya, we plan to return to the central city first to sell the magic stones. We hope there will be a chance to continue cooperating next time. After the party left, Rigoya once again roused his undead power. The orc he had killed previously instantly appeared. The orc chief is quite a rare material. What should I make it into? After thinking for a moment, he activated the flesh separation skill. The originally huge orc was left as nothing but a complete dried skeleton. Then he asked Zania for the potion that had been prepared in advance, and dripped it onto the bones. The effect of the potion was to increase the strength of the skeleton. This is exactly as I imagined. The original orc was made into a bone guard, and its star rank also reached 2-star. When he used life drain, that was when he was most vulnerable, so now the guard could protect him while he cast the skill. Why did you have to make it into a guard? Because bone guards don't rot easily, and bones are suitable for me to enhance. More importantly, ordinary servants all have a time limit, but a guard can protect me 24 hours a day. Zania, help me watch over this for now. I have something very important that I need to do first. I'm going to the Pantheon to obtain a holy spell, so that I can deepen my connection with the skeleton. Zania stood there stunned, as if he had heard wrong. You're a necromancer, yet you're actually going to learn holy magic? And give holy magic to a skeleton? Although my class is necromancer, deep in my heart I am a devout priest. Has this world gone mad? Since when does a dark-type wizard believe in holy magic? Rigoya changed the subject. Forget about my faith for now. Have you applied for a patent for your regeneration potion? Hearing this, Zania said, I applied 2 days ago, and the approval should be completed soon. But there's a problem now, the exhibition won't be held until next year, and only an exhibition like that can promote it better. As for the publicity issue, I already have some ideas. Then he asked for the regeneration potion. When the opportunity arises, I'll promote it as well. If this publicity goes well, then in the future none of us will need to worry about money. Looking at the fantasizing Rigoya, Zania thought, is this guy really a priest who believes in holy magic? The Pantheon was a miracle that suddenly appeared after the disaster descended. The Pantheon gathered large numbers of hunters, who set up stalls while also taking the opportunity to obtain all kinds of holy magic. Among them, many hunters sold relics obtained from dungeons. After looking around once, Rigoya did not find any relic carrying a holy aura. Immediately afterward, he began walking upward within the Pantheon. After leveling up, I got a prompt that I could obtain a new skill, but is it really necessary to climb 108 steps? Such high stairs are torture for a mage-type class like me. Kronos, I've been climbing for so long, how much farther is it? Don't worry, it looks like you've only climbed halfway. Rigoya was full of helplessness and could only keep moving forward. I hope that after climbing this long, I can get the magic I want. Rigoya finally arrived at the top of the Pantheon. Countless constellations were enshrined above the Pantheon. Prompt, many constellations are showing disgust toward you. Prompt, veiled death, this constellation appears highly suspicious. The king of Abydos feels dissatisfied with you. Kronos laughed. I didn't expect that the moment you came up, so many constellations would already look down on you. My constellation has also appeared in the Pantheon, so let me bestow my skill upon you. Because Kronos' constellation had only just been newly born, Kronos had to look around before finding it. Then he clicked on his own constellation and activated the power of bestowal. Prompt, the constellation of the Lord of the Gods has reappeared and has now been entered into the Pantheon register. At the same time, the prompt said, you have obtained Evil Blessing and Blade of Vengeance. Evil Blessing strengthens Een-type abilities and increases attribute values. Blade of Vengeance, each time you are struck by an enemy, 1 stack is added. The more stacks there are, the higher the retaliatory damage when activated, and it can target multiple opponents at once. Kronos said, these are my trump card skills. Rigoya smiled lightly. Old man, the skills you bestowed on me are barely acceptable. At that moment, another prompt appeared. The constellation proudly standing above the firmament lacks the holy aura it ought to have. Please attract more followers for the constellation so as to raise its status in the Pantheon. Seeing this, Rigoya instead became extremely excited. I was once a 9-star, attracting followers is very easy for me. Afterward, Rigoya left the Pantheon. A voice came from behind him. Why did you come out from the temple? Rigoya, it really has been a long time. Rigoya asked in confusion, who are you? Do we know each other? Hearing this, the man was first stunned. I'm Satak. You actually forgot me? I remember now. You're that little thug who used to extort people. I remember you used to work at the cafe, and you extorted your co-workers. Later, I beat you badly. I remember I injured your whole body that time, but your recovery speed was pretty fast. The man stared fixedly at Rigoya. In the next moment, he calmed down. We're no longer people from the same world. See this badge? I've already joined the Algirai Guild. You're just the lowest kind of worm. There's no need for me to treat you as an opponent anymore. but in my eyes, you haven't changed at all from the past. You're still that weak little thug. Last time you only managed to knock me out with a sneak attack. Do you think you'll get your way again this time? He viciously swung a punch at Rigoya. Suddenly, a hand grabbed Satak. The person who came was none other than Satak's squad captain, Xiao Meng, who told him not to cause trouble in the city. Captain, this guy actually dared to insult me and look down on our Algirai guild. Since you know we're from the Algirai guild and still dare to have that kind of attitude, then let's have a match. Captain, are you serious? You want this guy to spar with me? I saw him come out of the temple. He should be a newcomer who just became a hunter. Rigoya said softly, since you want a match, I'll agree to it. Or is it because I beat you badly before, and you're still traumatized and afraid of me? You're asking to die yourself. I'll make you pay the price. The Algirai Arena. Rigoya said, I'm a priest, so the target you'll be fighting is my contracted companion. You'll fight it. It's not easy for a priest to have a summon, but why is it a low-level beast that looks so ordinary? Don't worry, within the arena formation, there is no danger to life. I'll make you regret becoming my enemy. Before the battle even started, the man kept mocking Rigoya for being weak. It was as if he could deal with him using only one hand. Faced with the ridicule of the weak, Rigoya had no desire whatsoever to speak with him. Kashiwagi slowly stepped forward. He hadn't expected to run into members of the Algirai guild so quickly. This is my first real fight today, so I'll use you to get used to my new body. Rigoya, since this opponent belongs to the guild that is our enemy, I don't need to hold back, right? Although I'd very much like to let you vent the anger in your heart, it's best not to end it too quickly. I still have one thing I want to test. Rigoya, you're making things too difficult for me. This is like asking a human to go easy on a mosquito, it's a very difficult thing. Looking at the blindly charging man, Kashiwagi said, I'll try to go a little easier on you. Facing the man's attack, Kashiwagi simply leaped lightly. Then he made a punching motion. Because he still wasn't used to the new body, the man actually sidestepped and dodged it. The man who had shifted to the side quickly crouched. He thrust toward the side of Kashiwagi's lower abdomen, and the attack angle was extremely tricky. Seeing this, the captain smiled and said his footwork was even faster than during previous training. But in the next moment, the spear that had been thrust out was suddenly grabbed. You think an attack that slow would work? Attacking from the side also means you have no defense whatsoever. Seeing this, the man tried to pull out his spear and retreat, but no matter how he tugged, the spear would not move. You should be grateful this is just a training match. If this were real combat, you would already be dead. He made as if to unleash a heavy strike. Suddenly, Kashiwagi remembered that Rigoya had told him to hold back. The fist he had originally swung was changed to a knife hand at the very last moment. He struck the man's chest using only 30% of his strength. Even with less than half his power, it was still enough to make the man feel bone-piercing pain. Then Rigoya stepped forward and said, I already told you to hold back, and your strength still needs to be restrained more. The outcome is already obvious. You should accept it now, right? Who told you the match is over? I can still stand up, and I haven't admitted defeat. Rigoya, since he hasn't surrendered, this battle isn't over yet. The man once again came charging with his spear at astonishing speed. The seemingly fast attack was unbearably slow in Kashiwagi's eyes. At that very moment, the man lost his balance. You're still just a novice without combat experience. Your actions are far too simple. Looking at the man who had lost his balance, Kashiwagi simply kicked his knee. The man's knee instantly fractured. One had to know that this time Kashiwagi had used only 10% of his strength. At the same time as the kick landed, he raised his knife hand. This time it really is over. Clearly, Kashiwagi's knife hand was not moving quickly. Yet the man was already too terrified to even speak. In the end, he could only close his eyes and resign himself to it, while Kashiwagi stopped the attack at the final moment. The captain nearby was furious beyond measure, having never expected the loss to come so easily. The match system prompted that the battle had ended. Your leg has already been completely shattered in a comminuted fracture. I'm going to find a priest right now. Rigoya stepped forward. Am I not a priest? Of course I know you're a priest, but his bones are completely shattered. A one-star priest's level simply can't heal something like this, unless you have some other method? Of course, I always carry regeneration potion with me. I've never heard of regeneration potion. Even if such a potion existed, it would cost at least several million per bottle. Of course you haven't heard of it, because regeneration potion hasn't gone on the market yet. I'm kindly treating him. If treatment is delayed, there's a chance he'll spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. As he poured out the potion, a smug smile appeared on his face. He truly hadn't expected there would be such a good way to promote it. The moment the potion dripped down, the original knee visibly began to recover. Even the captain could not believe it. In only a short moment, even the bones had completely healed. Having such a potion was equivalent to possessing a second life. May I ask where you got this kind of potion? Hearing this, Regoya smiled. This guy was beginning to be tempted. You're the Algirai Guild squad captain. Your strength should be around 3-star, right? If you want to know where the potion came from, then duel my summon. Even after winning the match, you're still not satisfied? I agree to your request, but no matter the outcome, you have to tell me where the potion came from. Of course, no problem. And the previous match ended too quickly. I still haven't fully displayed my strength. Kashiwagi entered preparation for battle once again. At the instant the match began, the squad captain rushed forward at extreme speed. His sword turned into streaks of swordlight, mercilessly bombarding Kashiwagi's body. The captain felt slight surprise inside. His swordsmanship was known for its speed. Yet the Dragon Man could not only see his attacks clearly, but also block every single point of impact. Prompt: under continuous attack, defense is beginning to decrease. Feeling the changes in his body, Kashiwagi immediately prepared to counterattack. He likewise stomped the ground, trying to make the other side lose balance. But at that exact same moment, the squad captain leaped upward. Regoya watched with full concentration from the side, just as he had expected. The Dragon Man body was still too heavy for him, making it difficult to adapt to speed-type opponents. Even though speed-type opponents were hard to handle, Kashiwagi's experience was extremely rich, so he could still clearly see the enemy's attacks. Kashiwagi was very delighted. This was just right for using the battle to adapt to the Dragon Man body. Kashiwagi, I'm very satisfied with your performance. I'm your summoner. I'm not going to just watch you keep falling into a disadvantage. In the next moment, evil blessing filled Kashiwagi's body, greatly increasing his senses, speed, and strength. Even Regoya himself was astonished at the effect of such a skill. Truly worthy of being the power of the former Lord of the Gods. Even at beginner level, the skill could have such a terrifying effect. If the skill reached high rank in the future, it would be almost unimaginable. Boy, are you marveling at how powerful my ability is? Worship me to your heart's content. Wait until I finish this battle first. Now comes our enjoyable playtime. Then he activated the Blade of Vengeance skill. Evil Blessing and Blade of Vengeance were both stacked onto Kashiwagi at the same time. Regoya smiled. You can fight as freely as you wish now. Your body is no longer human. You need to abandon the combat style you used as a human. Seeing this, the squad captain still wanted to win through speed. Attacks like raindrops rained down on Kashiwagi's body. The system prompts also kept ringing, stating that the damage had stacked. Although his attributes had been reduced by quite a lot, he was still a 3-star guild member. That should be enough to deal with a 1-star Dragon Man. Yet in the face of the man's onslaught, all Kashiwagi did was defend. Kashiwagi understood very clearly that he was no longer human and should abandon this human way of fighting. The current him would not die no matter how badly injured he became. He should seize the opportunity, give up defending, and close in to fight the opponent at close range. His current advantage was his powerful physique and terrifying strength. The squad captain never expected Kashiwagi to suddenly abandon defense and attack him directly. Although his longsword struck the Dragon Man countless times, the Dragon Man's speed and strength seemed not to be affected at all. In a single instant, he was blasted away by Kashiwagi at close range. That single strike alone reduced his HP by 50%. Is it really only a 1-star summon? I absolutely have to change tactics. I can't let this Dragon Man stick to me in close combat anymore. He put all his strength into his ankles and charged toward Regoya at terrifying speed. No matter how I attack the Dragon Man, it has no effect. Then as long as I eliminate the summoner himself, that's enough. As long as he defeated this 1-star priest, the match would end instantly. Don't blame me. I originally wanted to crush your summon, but in the end I can only defeat you first. Yet just as the long sword was about to strike, Regoya showed not the slightest intention of dodging. You really are an idiot. Did you think I wouldn't anticipate such an obvious weakness? Then he snapped his fingers, and Blade of Vengeance was activated. All the attacks that had landed on the Dragon Man were transformed into Blade of Vengeance and returned to him, instantly blasting the squad captain away. At the same time, a prompt sounded. Xiaoming's HP has reached 0. Match over. Algirai Guild Headquarters. You're saying they can mass-produce something comparable to Advanced Potions Regeneration Potion? The speaker was none other than the guild's second-in-command, Gen Pei. That's right, Vice Guild Master. I witnessed the effect of the Regeneration Potion with my own eyes. Even I have never heard of the development of Regeneration Potion. Could it be that you were deceived? I personally saw the regeneration potion drip down, and in an instant even the bones started to recover completely. Leaving the potion matter aside for now, you are a 3-star hunter of our guild. A 3-star hunter losing to a 1-star summon, don't you think you've brought shame upon the guild? And I heard that after losing the match, all you did was mention the Algirai guild and then leave. You protected your own reputation but made the guild lose face. From today onward, you are demoted to an ordinary member. After Chao Meng left, he said, "Secretary, go investigate the matter of the regeneration potion for me. I want to know the source of this potion. In addition, a 1-star priest absolutely cannot defeat a 3-star swordsman, unless this priest obtains some god-tier summoning skill, and gains such a powerful summoned beast. Also, while you're at it, investigate this person's detailed information for me." Meanwhile, Rigoya looked forward to news of the regeneration potion reaching the ears of the upper ranks of Algirai. Kashiwagi said there was one thing he was very curious about. "Why, after the battle ended, did you have me study a spear skill book? There's nothing strange about that. You're an all-round warrior, and I think you can develop in a more comprehensive direction. But I still prefer using my fists to attack. If you can master weapons skillfully, then your methods of attack won't be so monotonous." Hearing this, Kashiwagi laughed loudly. Punching flesh with fists is what a man should be about. Seeing this, Rigoya used a little necromancy. Kashiwagi was shocked. "Why are my fists suddenly moving on their own? Rigoya, you're such a shameless guy. To make me study, you actually controlled me. Since we're going to train with spears, then as the master, you also need to master it completely." Taking the skill book, Rigoya's expression did not change in the slightest. This is only the most basic spear technique. As long as one understands the contents, even a child can master it skillfully. Most importantly, as a reincarnator, I only need an instant to learn what's in the book. The skill book turned into knowledge and flowed into his mind. "Since you've learned spear technique, then let us train properly together, my summoner." As he spoke, Kashiwagi's attack had already landed at the spot where Rigoya had been standing. Rigoya instinctively retreated and said, "Your attack came way too suddenly. You were the one who wanted to test me, so why are you escaping so fast? You must be holding a grudge because I beat you up just now." Hearing this, Kashiwagi immediately revealed a smug expression. "How could I possibly be that kind of person?" Then his expression grew serious. "If this were real combat, you'd have to carry killing intent. Didn't I tell you? I was also proficient in spear technique back then. I'm an all-round warrior, so let me show you my attacks properly." Then he charged at Rigoya. Rigoya remained completely calm. He had already fully comprehended the basics of spear technique. "I'm definitely going to teach Kashiwagi a harsh lesson." Kashiwagi's spear rapidly struck toward Rigoya's chest. Rigoya immediately blocked, secretly delighted inside. After blocking the attack, it would be his turn to counterattack. But almost at the very instant the block connected, Kashiwagi's spear rapidly shifted upward. Rigoya found it completely unbelievable. Could it be that he really had mastered spear technique long ago? Did you think that just because you blocked the attack, you could relax your vigilance? Before a battle is decided, you cannot relax. I already blocked that attack, so why was I still hit? At the moment you blocked my attack, your gaze had already shifted onto me, and you had already prepared yourself to counterattack. But you ignored my second stage attack because you assumed that since your attributes were higher than mine, you would. Kashiwagi looked at the unconvinced Rigoya. He said he would suppress his own attributes to the same level. "If it's the same level, then I definitely won't be hit by your second stage again." Facing Kashiwagi's attack, Rigoya quickly stepped forward to defend. Inside, he kept thinking that as long as he blocked the second stage attack, he could counterattack. Rigoya only felt darkness before his eyes. When he woke up again, he was already lying on the ground. "Your mind was completely focused on blocking my second stage attack, which caused you to fail to even defend against the first stage attack. After being reborn, I'd become too relaxed. Let me break this mindset deep within myself today." Seeing Rigoya's fighting spirit rise so high, Kashiwagi also said he would accompany him. The scene shifted to a barbecue restaurant. The squad captain could not help complaining. "Rigoya, what happened to you?" Rigoya did not want to speak at all. He had been beaten up non-stop for 3 whole hours. That guy Kashiwagi definitely did it on purpose. He was clearly very happy while beating me up. Kashiwagi, resting within Rigoya's body, said, "There aren't many chances to beat you up so reasonably." Then Rigoya asked, "Did you suddenly ask me out because of something?" Our team members were browsing the Hunter website, and one piece of news exploded across the whole internet. The Forgotten Temple is about to open to all hunters. Hearing this, Rigoya was also slightly surprised. That place still hasn't been cleared yet? The ownership of the Forgotten Temple dungeon was currently in the hands of the Extreme Cold Guild, but after a whole year, they still had not succeeded in clearing it. Mr. Rigoya should also know that dungeons are divided into static and dynamic types. Once a dynamic gate's magic density exceeds 100%, the monsters will invade the human world. And static gates release monsters on a fixed cycle, right? You're absolutely correct. Because the Extreme Cold Guild has been unsuccessful in clearing it, the magic density of the Forgotten Temple is about to exceed 100. That is why the Extreme Cold Guild has opened the Forgotten Temple this time. Rigoya suddenly recalled something. In his previous life, the Phoenix Guild had obtained a dragon-scale armor piece, and it had come from the Forgotten Temple. Since the Forgotten Temple still hasn't been cleared, then I still have a chance to take this god-tier armor first. This armor is said to possess the power of dragons. The squad captain could not understand why Rigoya's eyes had suddenly become so sly. Help me gather the team. Tomorrow we'll also head to the Forgotten Temple. The next day, at the Forgotten Temple dungeon, the magic density had already reached 93. The logistics forces of the various guilds that had received the news were already in position. Captain, it looks like this will be an intense struggle. Guild Master, we only brought 5 days worth of rations. Will that really be enough? Of course it'll be enough, because we'll keep moving inside the dungeon and it'll be over very soon. At this very moment, one of the squad members revealed an excited expression. That is the next candidate for Sword Saint Ashaka. Rigoya turned toward the sound. Ashaka was the one who had obtained the dragon-scale armor in his previous life. Ashaka was praised as the greatest genius in Phoenix history, but before she could fully grow, she died unexpectedly. At the same time, the squad captain shouted, "Look to the east! That's Iron Fist, a man who's extremely famous throughout the whole region." Rigoya glanced sideways slightly. A single dungeon had actually gathered together all the famous people in the entire region. Stop zoning out. Get ready and come in with me. We're going to be the first to take this dungeon. It turned out that not long ago, the man had already entered the Forgotten Temple. The temple was extremely dangerous, so he first summoned Kashiwagi to protect himself. Seeing this, the girl said that all his skills were undead type, and wondered if he would turn them into slaves as well. Rigoya suddenly appeared behind the group. I'm not the kind of person who casually turns humans into servants. Besides, you're all too weak. You're not suitable to be made into servants yet. And you're my partners. I'm not the kind of person who makes a move on allies. The entire temple suddenly began to shake violently. So this is the rumored moving dungeon. Although the dungeon rank is only 2-star. But because the dungeon moves irregularly every day, its actual difficulty reaches. Just like in his previous life, the dungeon would move irregularly, and this movement also meant that monsters were shuffled randomly as well. Kashiwagi, go scout the way first. Then Evil Blessing and Blade of Vengeance were immediately activated. The group entered the temple. Kashiwagi suddenly stopped his steps. A warlock in white robes slowly walked out. Endless death aura wrapped around the warlock's body. According to known data, that was a fallen wizard. Before the group could even formulate a strategy, the wizard directly launched attacks toward the people around him. Kashiwagi immediately began fighting against it. But while the fallen wizard had been a mage in life, its strength was completely crushed by Kashiwagi, whose grip instantly broke the wizard's fingers. Then he slammed the wizard harshly onto the ground. With ease, he smashed the fallen wizard's head. The squad captain could not believe it. The fallen wizard had been completely crushed. This fallen wizard is way too weak. It doesn't arouse any interest at all. The Dragon Man race is naturally strongest in power, so handling it so easily is only natural. But if you smash their heads, then I won't be able to use necromancy to control them. Kashiwagi said, there's no need for that. Look, aren't there still many fallen wizards over there? This time, let me try dealing with them. Immediately afterward, bone control began to activate. In only the blink of an eye, bones shot toward the wizards like hidden weapons. The attacks struck the wizards' bodies with perfect precision. Each bone wrapped in undead aura drilled into the wizards' bodies. Mage-type monsters had almost zero resistance to elemental-type skills. As long as I disguise holy magic as necromantic aura, I can greatly slow down their movements. Kashiwagi, running in front, was slightly surprised. Somehow he felt that the group of wizards had become much slower. In less than a minute, several wizards were completely defeated. This time I was very careful and deliberately didn't attack the wizards' heads. At the same moment the wizards were defeated, a prompt sounded in Rigoya's mind, level has reached 20. New skill obtained, Dark Dominion. energy consumption reduced by 20%, and the MP required for undead summons reduced by 20%. Reducing MP, that meant he could fight for longer and more sustainably. The wizards who had just been defeated were instantly awakened. In only a moment, they were completely transformed into undead servants. At the instant the transformation was complete, the servants instinctively searched for enemies to charge at. The squad members also entered combat stance. Kashiwagi was no exception and fought the nearby wizards as well. This situation made Rigoya somewhat shocked. Why were these wizards pouring out endlessly? While thinking, the ground began shaking again. Rigoya, we have to leave this room quickly. The dungeon structure is about to shift again. But Rigoya did not issue any command. Instead, he suddenly remembered something. In his previous life, Ashaka had accepted a media interview. You are the first player to successfully clear the Forgotten Temple. Everyone is curious, Ashaka, how did you open the gate? Ashaka replied, ordinary gates open automatically after defeating the boss, but the final boss of the temple requires a special method to open. No matter how the temple changes, there are only 3 types of monsters cycling through it. Defeating the 3 kinds of monsters will give you 3 kinds of emblems. Collect 49 emblems and place them in the designated locations. Then you can immediately enter the boss area. At the moment they entered the next room, a blood-red demonic eye slowly appeared in the void. The appearance of the demonic eye was the same as the patterns on the pillars around them. The originally illusory demonic eye turned solid in only an instant. Light constantly flickered inside its eye. Attacks shot out like arrows. A wind-rending sound like thunder echoed throughout the entire space. Rigoya seemed to have prepared for this in advance. 5 bone-hidden weapons he had prepared beforehand had already appeared. The hidden weapons, covered with undead power, instantly turned into shield-like protection before him. The powerful attacks blasted fiercely against them, but no matter how they bombarded, the bones showed not the slightest sign of shattering. Rigoya easily neutralized the formidable offensive. These bones were not ordinary ones. He had previously carved undead runes into them, which was why they had reached such terrifying toughness. But at the very moment he relaxed his guard, the demonic eye almost instantly launched another attack. The interval between the 2 attacks did not exceed 0.2 seconds at all, and just as it was about to hit, Kashiwagi instantly stood in front of him. Even if I didn't intervene, you could still dodge it, but I am your bodyguard, so just stay behind me. The attack bombarded Kashiwagi once more. The powerful energy completely engulfed Kashiwagi. This power is weaker than I imagined. Kashiwagi's body was completely unharmed. Rigoya's expression remained calm. He had spent great effort crafting the Dragon Man body, how could its defense be broken by a mere 2-star dungeon? You're right, after taking that attack, I didn't feel any pain at all. It seems that when facing the demonic eye, I don't need to be so cautious at all. All I have to do is smash it with my body. In the next moment, a fierce punch struck the demonic eye directly. Although this demonic eye's attacks are strong among ordinary creatures, to me they are completely useless. Do you need to turn it into a servant? What I need is the item on its body, so I can enter the final stage. Next, he found another type of monster with a mask in front of him. The location to activate the stage required an item with a smiling face. This item came from the masked monster before him. This monster really looks ugly. But as soon as those words fell, the masked monster let out a terrifying howl. With the end of the sound, a black-red curse invaded Kashiwagi. The mask mimic reduced Kashiwagi's attributes. Rigoya sensed the reduction in Kashiwagi's attributes and said, "Do you need me to help solve it for you?" The cursed skill of the masked monster also belongs to the dark type, and necromancy is the highest form among dark type magic. I can completely solve it myself. Prompt, curse broken. Rigoya was astonished beside him. Necromancy really was the highest tier dark type. But he had not expected Kashiwagi to be able to break the curse on his own using his own undead power. Then Rigoya used Evil Blessing. Although I'd like to let you slowly fight the masked monster, we don't have much time right now. In the next moment, the lingering curse on Kashiwagi's body was completely dispelled. Immediately afterward, Rigoya swung out Bone Control. The monster was instantly killed in a single strike. It looked like its mask was exactly the item he needed. Without hesitation, he picked it up. Although it's a required item for opening the boss stage, it really is ugly. The shaman's horn, the demonic eye, and the masked monster's item, once 49 of these 3 items were collected, that would be enough. Rigoya was still very curious why Ashaka knew this information. In fact, in reports from his previous life, she had said that under no circumstances could any of the items be destroyed. In other words, if the items were destroyed, then entering the boss stage would become impossible. From this whole series of events, it could be seen that Ashaka possessed some secret we did not know. The squad captain said that the Phoenix Guild was fighting nearby. Rigoya looked toward the rear. They had arrived rather quickly as well. At that moment, masked monsters were surrounding Ashaka's squad. But in Ashaka's eyes, there was not the slightest worry. And the masked monsters' curses seemed to have no effect on Ashaka. They were all annihilated by Ashaka's slashes. Kronos laughed. So she infuses spiritual power into her slashes, allowing her to cut through curses. Rigoya said, "We need to speed up." Behind them, Ashaka slowly stared at Rigoya's group. "Captain, are you very concerned about that squad?" Ashaka asked doubtfully. "They seem to have mastered a way to dispel curses." "Captain, you must be overthinking it. They were definitely just lucky enough not to be cursed." In Ashaka's eyes, even though it was clearly her first time seeing him, he gave off a feeling of immense power and mystery. In order to fulfill this condition, they stayed in the Forgotten Temple for a full 5 days. Even Rigoya himself had not expected that for those 5 days, monsters would keep pouring out endlessly. The squad captain was so uneasy that this had completely exceeded everyone's expectations. The squad members' bodies. Far away, the wizards walked toward the group once more. Seeing this, Kashiwagi swung his fist once again. "These guys are impossible to finish off." The wizards that had just appeared were killed without any surprise. "It's already been 5 whole days, yet you don't look tired at all. As expected of the person I chose. I'm a necromancer. I only need to command puppets to fight." Wizards, power. This also meant that he had no need to rest at all. After 5 days and 5 nights of non-stop fighting, his level had also reached 27. Then he collected the materials dropped on the ground. He placed all the items at the designated locations. One could see that the originally dim stone pillars once again emitted faint traces of light. He had already placed items at 48 stone pillars. The other dungeon clearing squads had basically all gone out. These past few days have already yielded very good gains. You all go out and sell the magic stones. I still need to stay inside for a while longer. The squad captain said they would follow Rigoya's arrangement. Rigoya took the soul crystal and arrived at the next room. The ground suddenly began shaking once more. Kashiwagi said, "The shaking is getting more and more frequent now. Shouldn't we leave the dungeon too?" "I deliberately sent them away because next, we need to completely clear this dungeon. We've fought at high intensity for 5 straight days, and we still haven't seen this dungeon's boss. You were curious before why I placed the materials on the stone pillars. That's because this is the condition for activating the boss. We need to find in the room the stone pillars bearing the 3 kinds of patterns. As long as we place the final set of materials, the prerequisite condition will be completed." The frequency of the dungeon's shaking increased more and more. Amid the irregular shifting, monsters began attacking Rigoya at random. Rigoya could only retreat quickly while searching the surroundings for stone pillars. He had to hurry. The dungeon felt as if it might collapse at any moment. Just as Rigoya was looking around, Kashiwagi shouted that he had found one. Rigoya looked in the direction Kashiwagi indicated and discovered, unexpectedly, that the stone pillar was in the opposite direction. He had to find a way to loop back around. At that moment, Kashiwagi shouted, "Throw the materials to me." Without any hesitation, Rigoya immediately threw out the materials. Kashiwagi feared no attack and instantly arrived before the stone pillar. Looking at the totem on the pillar, he said, "This is the last one." "That's the one. Just place the materials beneath the stone pillar." The stone pillar emitted a faint glow. The attacks that had originally been coming in also abruptly stopped. The stone pillars began constantly refracting magic power. In the end, a gigantic magic array quietly appeared on the ground. "I really didn't expect the complexity inside this dungeon to exceed even 3 layers. Kashiwagi, stay sharp from here on out. This is where the real battle begins." "Rigoya, don't worry at all. I'm a summon, so I don't feel any fatigue." It seemed this was the final stage. The feeling this room gave me carried a kind of ominous aura. Then he slowly pushed open the door. He was extremely expectant inside, wondering what kind of boss he would encounter. But the instant the door opened, the long-prepared attack also instantly shot toward Rigoya. Almost at the exact same moment the door opened, Kashiwagi immediately blocked in front. He gathered the undead power contained within himself into his fist. He instantly shattered the incoming attack. At the same moment, the monster released a curse attack again. Rigoya only felt his mind become unbearably heavy. It was as if in the next second he would be completely devoured by the monster. Kashiwagi sensed that Rigoya had suddenly stepped forward. Rigoya did not speak and only walked forward slowly. The monster before him seemed to reveal a smug smile. It prepared to use its final strike to completely kill Rigoya. Rigoya suddenly spoke softly. You think this little curse can control me? I am immune to all curses. Your curse is a joke in front of me. At this moment, the boss completely could not understand why its curse had no effect. Rigoya said, I used evil blessing to lower its attributes. Right now it's nothing to worry about. Kashiwagi, I'll leave the rest to you. As if sensing Rigoya's disdain, the boss quickly condensed its magic power. Magic power and cursed power gathered together, forming a dark purple sphere of light. It suddenly shot outward. In less than a breath, the magic arrow had already arrived before Kashiwagi. Kashiwagi did not panic. Undead power had already begun gathering in his legs. At the very moment the arrow was about to hit, Kashiwagi instantly disappeared from the spot and rushed forward. In the boss's eyes, Kashiwagi seemed to vanish on the spot, moving at astonishing speed. In the next moment, Kashiwagi had already appeared at its side. With an extremely fierce attack, he bombarded the boss's thigh. The boss staggered back half a step. At the spot that had been struck, numerous blisters gave off a faint purple aura. Seeing this, Kashiwagi immediately knew things were bad. This was the curse carried by the boss itself. The fusion of the three kinds of monsters meant that this curse would slowly dissolve his body. Rigoya released the evil blessing skill. Kashiwagi, don't worry. My evil blessing is the bane of all dark-type magic. The curse on Kashiwagi's body was instantly dispelled. At the same time, the boss's attack also arrived. Kashiwagi quickly stepped back. The instant he steadied his body after retreating, he once again closed in and struck the boss's leg. With the enhancement from Rigoya's evil blessing, his attributes were greatly increased. After an unknown number of punches, the boss's body could bear it no longer, and a cracking sound rang out. Following that, Kashiwagi increased his strength and viciously pierced through it. The boss clutched its leg and let out a painful howl. Kashiwagi knew very well that he had to completely kill it during this opening while it was in pain. Just as Kashiwagi was about to pursue it forward, the boss suddenly swung its sharp claws indiscriminately ahead. Because of that very action, Kashiwagi's arm and lower leg both suffered severe injuries. After retreating, Kashiwagi asked, What should we do now? Rigoya said, The boss also has extremely strong regenerative power. We have to kill it in one burst right now. Rigoya's attack once again fiercely pierced through the boss. Sensing danger, the boss immediately assumed a stance for an all-out attack, and its berserk magic power was instantly activated in full. Kashiwagi immediately took a defensive stance. Rigoya also immediately summoned wizards to block in front of him. After releasing such a huge amount of magic power, there would definitely be a moment of vulnerability once it was over. At the very instant the attack ended, Rigoya did not hesitate in the slightest and rushed forward. By the time the boss reacted, Rigoya's palm was already covering its body. Blade of Vengeance was also activated at the same time, with this activation mainly meant to seal its movement. At this moment Kashiwagi had also arrived above the boss. He gathered all his power into his fist. With a thunderous boom, he smashed the boss's head viciously. At that moment, the boss's body also began to crumble. This thing really was tough, but I finally killed it. At that exact moment, a prompt indicated that his level had increased by 6. Rigoya smiled. But the rewards it brought us were also extremely generous. Even your level has gone up by 6. Now that the boss is dead, we have to find the thing I need before the dungeon collapses. Not long after, he saw a suit of armor giving off a faint glow nearby. Kashiwagi said the armor looked pretty good. Rigoya understood that this was exactly the dragon scale armor he had been looking for. The dragon scale armor was made entirely of dragon bone. It could change shape according to the user's thoughts and was also a growth-type divine artifact. Then he stroked the armor. In the next moment, the armor seemed to recognize its master and instantly attached itself to Rigoya's body. Prompt: physical resistance increased to level 47, magic resistance increased to level 35, and agility reduced by 5%. Kashiwagi said, With this armor, I can attack enemies with much greater peace of mind. You mean it's tiring for you to protect me every time you attack an enemy? Kashiwagi merely sighed lightly. I didn't say that. You're the one who said it. A short while later, a prompt sounded through the temple. The Forgotten Temple dungeon has been completed. The dungeon will close in 3 minutes. Everyone around them was puzzled. Did someone kill the final boss of the dungeon? When the squad captain saw Rigoya coming out, he jogged over. Did you hear? The temple dungeon has already been fully cleared. Of course I know. I'm the one who did it. The squad captain froze in shock. You did all of it? After we left, you completed the dungeon by yourself? I was the one who killed the final boss of the temple. Hearing this, the squad captain was stunned. Are you saying you cleared the dungeon all by yourself? It was with that exclamation of shock that everyone around was attracted. Rigoya quickly stopped him. I don't want it exposed that I'm the one who cleared the dungeon. But if Rigoya is the first to clear it, your reputation will soar. Forget it. I hate being watched. He said that he would give him the boss reward later. The squad captain said there was no need because they had not participated in any of the clearing. Seeing this, Rigoya tacitly accepted the squad captain's words. The shadow mask was engraved with many spells and could curse and track enemies. The other item was a book. This time, our squad has successfully achieved our goal. All of you must help me keep this secret. Iron Fist asked. Ashaka, was it your side that cleared the dungeon? I thought it was you who completed the clear. If we had successfully completed the raid, then the Phoenix Guild would have already prepared a press conference. It seemed that besides us, some other strong person had mixed into the dungeon this time. Besides me and Iron Fist, who else could possibly have managed the clear? Suddenly, Rigoya's appearance surfaced in her mind. Could it have been that man? Impossible. With his squad composition, it should have been impossible. Everyone likes to watch this kind of comic. Inside Zinnia's studio, the squad captain wondered why the workshop felt so messy. At that very moment, Zinnia shouted, Rigoya, what exactly did you do? Looking at how flustered you are, did the Algirai Guild come knocking? Not only did they come to visit me, they even wanted to buy our potions in large quantities. You have no idea what I've gone through these past 2 days. Not just the Algirai Guild, people from all over the country have also been rushing to buy the potions. I don't even have time to sleep. I have to answer calls every moment. All kinds of orders have piled up until I can barely breathe. Isn't this exactly what you wanted? I did want orders, but I didn't expect them to come so violently. By the way, Rigoya, I've already gotten the item you asked me to keep an eye on before. This was a low-level dark sphere. Seeing this, Kashiwagi asked in confusion, why did you buy something like this? Of course I bought it for you to use. Then he pressed it against Kashiwagi's chest. As long as I cause the undead power and the dark sphere to resonate, then once it is implanted into your body, your attributes will increase significantly. Most importantly, the dark sphere can increase the compatibility between the Dragon Man body and your soul. Prompt, Dragon Man compatibility increased by 7%. The attributes increased by quite a lot, but why did compatibility only increase so little? Compatibility is equivalent to your reaction speed. A 7% increase in reaction speed is already very good. Without any warning, Rigoya threw the dark sphere in his hand. Kashiwagi instinctively reached forward and caught it. What exactly are you doing? Rigoya said, didn't you notice that your reactions have become much faster? And as long as you keep the dark sphere implanted inside your body over time, your reaction speed will continue to increase. Rigoya threw out the corpse of the temple boss. I didn't expect you to keep the corpse. Are you planning to turn it into a servant too? Kashiwagi alone is enough as a servant. I'm preparing to turn it into a golem. Hearing this, the squad captain said, you mean that kind of emotionless killing golem? My level still isn't high enough to summon a second servant, so for now I can only make it into a golem. To turn it into a golem requires an alchemist and some additional materials, and the alchemist already has some of them prepared. Next, we need to go find the materials. Inside a ruined shopping mall, Kashiwagi asked in confusion, will this place really have what we want? Madame Shuli was the owner of this mall, and behind the scenes she was actually a black market broker. She definitely had the materials he wanted, there was no mistake about that. The moment the two entered the mall, they felt something was wrong. It seemed a fight had happened nearby. One person was lying on the ground. When he saw Rigoya, the man immediately became vigilant. Where is Madame Shuli? Faced with Rigoya's question, the man said he absolutely would not tell them. The next moment, the madam fled east. My people are tracking her down. It's been 30 minutes already. It'll be hard for us to find her again. Rigoya said it was very simple for him. Then he activated the shadow mask. This item itself possessed tracking ability. Before long, the route Madame Shuli had taken while escaping appeared before his eyes. At this moment, Madame Shuli was still running. The people behind her also discovered her trail at the same time. Madame Shuli was completely unable to understand why the Red Spider Gang was pursuing her. Although she didn't know the reason, she had a premonition that if she were caught, she would be finished. The road ahead was blocked by pursuers, and behind her, there were also people surrounding her. Madame Shuli was full of resentment. Madame Shuli, you really made us go to a lot of trouble. If you had just obediently surrendered, it would have been fine. Instead, you made us run for so long. Madame Shuli immediately drew a weapon from her sleeve. At the same time, the magic power she possessed began to appear, as she prepared to fight to the death. Seeing this, the man sneered, "You've clearly almost used up all your magic, yet you're still pretending to be so tough." Hearing that, Madame Shuli was full of bitterness. "It looks like quite a few people have gathered here. Pretty lively, isn't it?" The speaker was Rigoya, who had just arrived. The sudden voice startled everyone around them. "We're from Red Spider. If you don't want to die, then stay out of this. But what if today I happen to want to use you to warm up? Don't think that just because you have a summon, you can do whatever you want." The surrounding people quickly moved to surround Rigoya. But before they could even react, Kashiwagi instantly struck one person in the abdomen. Then he grabbed the man again. Without mercy, he hurled him flying outward. The surrounding people who had formed the encirclement were knocked flying as well. Seeing this, the leader was shocked. 2 members had been defeated in an instant. #name? Then he summoned flames. "I'll burn you all to ashes completely." Extremely violent flames wrapped around Rigoya. Seeing this, the people around could not help laughing out loud. The man muttered, "How is this possible?" The seemingly violent flames had not injured Kashiwagi in the slightest. Even in his dreams, the man would not have dared believe it. His flames were over 1,000 degrees high. Before the man could think any further, Kashiwagi smashed his fist into the man's face. "This time I'll spare your life first. In the future, remember not to be so arrogant." Rigoya, did you see that? He was so arrogant, and in the end one punch was enough to knock him out. At this moment, Rigoya looked toward Madame Shuli. Her face looked very smooth, with no trace of burn scars. In his previous life, Madame Shuli's face had severe burn scars. It seemed that they were caused by this very incident, and fortunately he had saved her in advance this time, allowing her to avoid the risk of injury. Not far away, a figure rushed out, shouting, "Madam, are you all right? I'm not injured, but it seems Red Spider has set its sights on us." At the side, Rigoya's expression sharpened. Judging from the magic power emitted by the old man, this elder was a rather capable bodyguard. Sensing Rigoya's expression, Madame asked, "Who are these people? I originally wanted to go to your mall to buy something, but found that something seemed to have happened in the shop, so I looked around nearby for a while." "Madam, you seem rather exhausted." Rigoya activated Life Drain. He seized the energy of the others around them and converted it into healing magic to give to the woman. The woman could not believe it. In only an instant, all the fatigue in her body was swept away, and even her skin seemed to become smoother by several degrees. Could you possibly be a high-level priest? You can think of it that way. One day later, inside bar New Heaven City. "To thank you, whatever you want to drink today is on me. For someone as capable as Mr. Rigoya, what is it that you want here?" As expected of a black market broker, "You really are sharp. I want a ticket to the underground auction house." Hearing this, the woman was slightly surprised. "Just one ticket? You saved me today. This is my business card. As long as you have my business card, other than in Red Spider's sphere of influence, you can move freely in any part of the black market. I'm looking for a magic tool, one that can support 3-star level magical output. A tool for magical transmission? I'm not sure whether the auction house has one." Rigoya said he was only trying his luck anyway. If the auction house did not have it, then he would have to search for the dungeon where such a tool could drop. "If Mr. Rigoya is in a hurry, then as long as you help me complete a task, I can help you search for the magic tool. With my help, the efficiency will be much higher than if you search alone." "You mean you want me to help you wipe out Red Spider?" "Red Spider may count as a major organization on your side, but in your eyes, they do not pose much of a threat. As long as you help me eliminate them, I'll give you Alex Thread. This is a dedicated material for magic tools." This woman really was shrewd. It looked like she had long since had clues about the magic output tool. "No problem. Our deal is made." You agreed without any hesitation. "Your strength exceeds my imagination. May I ask what your level is?" In the next moment, Madame Shuli froze where she stood. "You're actually only 1 star? The C-rank and dungeon region." Madame Shuli arrived in the surrounding area. She stabbed her dagger into the ground. Before long, daggers covered the surrounding area. This was one of Madame Shuli's abilities. It could instantly paralyze communications throughout the surrounding region. One could see a man pick up his walkie-talkie and say, "Everything in the east sector is normal. Is there any problem in the west sector?" Strangely, however, there was never any reply from the walkie-talkie. In the next moment, darkness fell before the man's eyes and he was killed. It was said to be bizarre, in only a short while, all the surrounding Red Spider members had actually been cleared out by him. "Since you've already taken this place, there's no need for you to enter the dungeon. Quite coincidentally, this dungeon contains something I want. I'll be back very soon.